What is it?
The stuff that dreams are made of.
Huh?
The stuff dreams are made of. The music, you know what? Just keep playing that music, just on and on and on. I love it so much. It's so iconic. I love that word, iconic. Humphrey Bogart, as good as it gets, guys. Welcome to At the Movies. I have a very special show. I have two special guests, two very good friends who represent a lot of iconic items in our wonderful town, Sarasota, Florida. I have the wonderful and beautiful Lathrop Ford,
Hello, Gus.
co-owner of Sarasota State Auction Trading Company, and Andrew Ford. How are you, sir?
How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm wheezing a little bit. But I'm going to make it. We're going to make
It's
it.
been a tough week.
Yeah, no, it's been a good week. And it's a good week because you're getting ready. We're all getting ready for your upcoming auction, the September auction. There's a little break between the June auction and September, usually every 8 weeks or so.
Yeah, we pushed it back to about roughly around every sort of 10 to 12 weeks now. It just, in order for the staff to really handle the amount of work that we have, and I have always had the difficulty of saying no to things that come in the door, so the auction grows. But
it's your big heart, my friend. That's what it is.
That's
It's because it's relationships that you're building, and people don't often understand. Sometimes you get a consignment, and you take something that maybe is with a grouping of things. We're talking, of course, about the auction coming up, which is about 1,600 items this weekend.
Yep.
We've trimmed it back down to around 1,540 items.
Oh, okay.
So it does have a number on it, says 1,635, but we've trimmed a few of the lesser lots, and so it's still an awful lot to handle.
So people that can come in, they can come into the shop, and they can 11 o'clock to about 6 or 7.
Yeah, September 18th and 19th, that's Saturday and Sunday. We've had preview all week, and it's been a very successful preview, thank goodness.
Yes.
The doors are constantly being opened, and we're seeing new faces and new people that either have attended an auction in the past or haven't. Either way, they seem to be very excited about the prospect of coming and seeing the auction process.
Yeah, I love seeing it in person. Don't you love it?
It's great.
Lathrop,
It's so exciting.
when you see stuff in person, you get the tone and the scale and the scope of something.
Yeah.
Which is, there's something on my desk here. You talk about an iconic. I collect Coca-Cola stuff, so this is a big deal for me tonight. I mean, I want people out there that collect Coca-Cola and Andy Warhol. I think I want to ask Andrew Ford about that because we saw a movie the other night that I just was dying for you to see it.
It's amazing.
Because you're such, and you hate the word expert, but you're so well versed in the arts and you're teaching me every day. But this is a Coca-Cola piece, but it's an Andy Warhol piece. And as pop art goes, he's really on the Mount Rushmore, is he not, of
He was,
a movement?
He was probably considered to be the most important American artist of the 1960s.
Wow.
That should give you a pretty
That's a
good
big
idea.
thing.
That's when there were major names. De Kooning was around, came to the
Yes.
States. You could think of Pollock and all these big names. These guys all ran in the same circles in New York. He was just so avant-garde that they didn't quite know how to handle him. You know, I mean, he was a draftsman, and he was much more conservative with his approach to art in the 1950s. And if you look at some of his work, there were more simple, traditional drawings and paintings. Then he started pushing the envelope a little bit, using a lot of these quintessential American products that we think about every day: the Brillo pad,
Campbell's
Coca-Cola, Campbell's soup, for
Right.
sure.
Well, you know, I'm going to start. We have a clip, and this is a commercial of Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola is the wonderful signature that is, to me, the greatest logo of all time, of all advertising. It's beautiful. It has a great history, and the bottle is it's a sexy bottle. I mean,
It's got the lines. It was
it's
designed
supposed
that
to
way.
be like a female body in a lot of ways, and it's really. But this is a cool piece. It's about inclusionism. I'm going to just show you the depth of Coca-Cola. We'll start with this clip.
A Coke?
Is a Coke.
Is a Coke.
It's the same for everyone.
You can get one if you want it.
No matter where you're from.
He drinks Coke and she drinks Coke.
Even though they disagree.
And while the bottles look alike, you aren't the same as me.
Stars drink it.
Chefs drink it.
Farmers want one when it's hot. There's a Coke here if you're thirsty.
But that's cool if you're not.
We all have different hearts and hands.
Heads holding various views.
Don't you see?
Difference is beautiful.
And together is beautiful too.
Thank you, Mia. This is something that the Coca-Cola Company said in 1915. And I love that piece because it sets the tone. A bottle which a person could recognize even if they felt it in the dark, and so shaped that even broken, a person could tell at a glance what it was. Warhol on this bottle, which I think is a great inclusionism. What's great about this country is that America started the tradition where the richest consumers buy essentially the same thing as the poorest. You can be watching TV and see Coca-Cola, and you know that the president drinks Coca-Cola, Liz Taylor drinks Coca-Cola, and just think you can drink Coca-Cola too. That's Warhol 60 years after that. So this piece here, how important a piece. I'm so excited when this came in. It was like kind of a hidden gem. How neat is this for you?
It's exciting to have. Now, these were done in fairly great numbers, as you would imagine.
Okay.
This is a true 1960s Coca-Cola bottle. He came up with the idea of painting it silver. It's gotten a little bit grayish. That's what it looks like after it's oxidized. But these were bright silver at the time. On the underneath of the bottle, they have different cities of bottling, cities that he would choose. He was known to do images of the green Coca-Cola bottle. In fact, many of his one-dimensional screen prints were of the multiples of the green Coca-Cola bottle. Then he went into this three-dimensional. He started, when we talk about the Brillo pad boxes, the Dove bar soap, these were things these are consumer staples that he thought had such visual appeal that he wanted to promote them as sculptures.
What I like about Andrew, and Lathrop, you recognize this too, is straight, honest. You just corrected me. This is not a onesie. This is he did many of them, and I always learn provenance, of course, is the key word. We're going to come to that in a little bit. Mm-hmm. But like he did multiples. There was a great photo of this with the old crate.
Yeah, exactly.
With the silver.
I remember those
But
crates.
you always set it straight. You always tell the people very nicely. You let them down nicely. You tell them if it's special.
Sure.
But this is, see, I have a thing for this because I collect, and this would be a cool thing. This is starting, we're in the auction, which is starting Saturday.
It's on Saturday. It's fairly early in the sale. We're opening it for $500. To your point about provenance, we talk about it a lot, but an interesting comment. These have sold all over the board.
Right.
Some of these have brought $1,800, $2,000. They've sold for as little as $1,000 in a little Mickey Mouse auction that wasn't promoted properly.
Right.
They've also sold for $85,000. The same bottle, the same label. It's got a label on the underside. It's titled "You're In," Andy Warhol, and so it's the original label on the underside. Now, the reason, and why would one bring $1,000 and one bring $85,000?
Great question.
It's not just the marketing, which is important, but it actually came from the Andy Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So it was exhibited at the museum. That's the one everybody wants, the one that was part of an exhibition. So,
right.
So that's the provenance of a Warhol museum that the real collector is looking for.
That's fabulous. We have a clip about. We're going to go a little background on Andy Warhol from this exhibit that he did a few years back. Get a little flavor of how eccentric he was.
Sure.
Avant-garde. I mean, the wig, the whole thing, and then he kind of went full circle in his life. He finished. I want you to touch on that a little bit, Andrew. Let's look at the great Andy Warhol.
Andy Warhol is mostly known as a pop artist, but actually in this exhibition we really wanted to return to the man and think about all of the desires, the fears that may have drove him to create art.
We wanted to take him out of the hype and start to look at Andy Warhol through the three lenses of the idea of the immigrant story, his queer identity, and the idea of death and religion.
He was born in Pittsburgh to parents who had come all the way from present-day Slovakia.
He's in what he referred to as the Czech ghetto in Pittsburgh. It's a poor upbringing. Right at the very beginning of the exhibition, you see the documents that really mark the moment at which Warhol's family come into America. What's intriguing for me is to connect the Statue of Liberty painting from that very first document. He is highly recognizable to many as this Warhol persona. He's become a brand. The art historian John Richardson used to refer to Warhol as a recording device who was constantly recording the life around him. And I think Warhol really understood the strengths of both, of how to edit the world and how to put himself in the world. And as a result, Andy Warhol is one of the most important artists of the last half of the 20th century, and as I firmly believe, most likely to be very important in this century.
You know, I think that's so cool because to see a whole exhibit, when you see somebody's body of work, it's so exciting. And we have a little bit of that at the gallery down the street. We have a little bit of a Sid Solomon display over there.
It's true, and it's nice to collect multiples, even multiple originals. You can see different perspectives by the artists. You can see little subtle changes from their periods from the 1960s into the 1970s. Typically, the colorations in the 1980s of all these artists got a little more electric. Andy Warhol, for sure, you know, he was doing a lot of his screen prints were monochromatic. He thought that was intense to do some of the, you know, images of car crashes and things like that. He would show them in black and white, and then in one of the quadrants, he would screen print it red.
Yeah.
You know, sort of for the blood and the gore of it all. But then he would put green, and he was all about composition and balance. And the beauty of the screen printing process are that you can make multiples of them.
I wanted to ask you, you've been around this business a lot, 25, 30 years. You work with your dad. You were in Boston. You did this. Has your level of respect for this artist grown over the years?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Really?
Because when I first began the business in the late 80s and early 90s, traditional art was the premium. Everyone was looking for old master paintings. Americana ruled, but Americana, antique Americana. So I was looking for that late 19th century realism picture or that early 20th century American Impressionist subject. I dismissed a lot of the pop art culture. I didn't grow up around the pop art. It was a little bit before
more traditional.
my time. I grew up around many traditional things in Massachusetts, and in the big city, you see pop art ruled, and no one did it better than Andy Warhol.
You know, we're going to make you gave us a nice transition to the master of transition, Andrew. So we talk about traditional. It doesn't get any more traditional with provenance or respect than the great Leonardo da Vinci in terms of science, art, etc.
Sure.
Renaissance man. We live in a great town here, and one of my favorite areas of town, I say this a lot, I'm not just saying it. Owen's Fish Camp is there. Burns Court Theater. Sarasota Trading Company. And Owen Burns developed that area.
Sure.
Great Florida icon. The other night, before they were going to take the film down, The Lost Leonardo, I asked you nice folks to go. Thankfully, you joined us on the
We're so
last.
glad you did. That was
and
great.
the wonderful, magnificent Igor the restorer.
Mr. Levchenko.
He works over at the gallery, and he's fabulous. I got chills the other day. He restored a painting, and I walked in. Honest to God, and after seeing the movie and what the work that went into that, just a newfound respect for him. And he just did a magnificent job. We went to see this film. It's about, of course, the I always mess up this name, the Salvador Mundi.
Yes.
It sold for $400 million at Christie's auction. Mm-hmm. Tell me what you guys thought about it, because we had a great conversation after.
We did. We had a great debate, didn't we?
What did you take away from that when you looked at that film and that whole hunt and that whole mystery, as it was?
You want to know what I took away from it?
Yes.
Serious pressure on every single person involved.
Well, that's interesting.
Everyone was stressed out. Everyone was freaked out. Everyone was jumping right and left, ready to move this thing along. I thought it was awful to see what originally happened to it, and the fighting that went over between, the gentleman who was getting the, really wealthy businessman from Russia to jump in. I just felt like it really was lost because every single thing that was so important about trying to understand what it was skirted out the door, and nobody got a chance to do any of their jobs. And it was pressure. It was too much pressure to do the right thing.
But we talked a little bit earlier off camera about you want to come back and do a show, which I want you to do a set show.
Yeah.
The setup of the filmmaking, I always go in and I view a film two ways. The story.
Yeah.
It's like when you're at the auction, you tell a story.
Right.
Jay was telling a story about that wonderful Elizabeth, the Queen Elizabeth ladder that we have.
Sure. HMS.
And Andrew always he said, well, we're not 100% sure. No, but I love that about you because there's always a balancing thing.
That movie gave us a lot of. If you remember from the movie, I took a very different approach from the way that
that's
movie
what I
went.
love
There was pressure. I saw it. I loved the dealer. It opened up. The opening line of the movie was fantastic.
Of course, because you're a dealer.
Gentlemen.
This is why I miss you. You know what I miss about my film classes? Couples like you who are much older. They've been married 50 years. They have the same fingerprints at this point, but they disagree.
We watch the same movie and come up
and you
with
see
totally
things
differently.
but that's what makes it interesting to me.
Well, we're different people.
But you see a painting that way as well. So Andrew, go ahead.
So he opens up and he looks in the camera and he says, and this was not verbatim, but essentially he said, a sleeper is a painting that goes to auction that's somewhat unnoticed. And I was at a particular, not I myself, but the gentleman who was speaking said he was at an auction. He saw what he thought to be an attributed reproduction of an old master painting that he noticed had qualities that were slightly better. And of course, he was looking at, like I always do, the construction. It was on an early panel, and the panel likely dated from the 1600s. And it gave him a little clue that this was a little better than they thought. And so this ended up in an auction in New Orleans Auction Gallery, and it was attributed as after Leonardo, and it talked about it. And sometimes you just make a gamble, you take a chance on something like that.
And they spent
$1,100. I love it.
It's incredible.
$950 plus the buyer's premium. Brought it to $1,100. To me, that is such a great story, and they did it because it was a great image. And the downside was $1,100. The upside was all the way to $400 million.
Here's what I want to do with this film, and I hope we can do it. This is why I love this town. I've been involved with film, of course, Film Society, Film Festival. I do my classes. I want to try to bring this film back because I so enjoyed the conversation that we had.
Yeah.
But the two, and Andrew hates the word expert, but Igor as a restorer, he's right in the milieu of that. This is an art dealer. He's in the guts of it.
Yeah.
Interviewing them with the film. I'm going to try to bring it back during the season because I want more people to see this film.
I'd love it if you did it. And I'll be honest, I am very interested in art documentaries. We both are. She and I are finding ourselves watching them all the time. But Gus, you were the reason you kind of kept pulling on my shirt, said you got to see this movie. It's down to the last weekend, and we missed it on Saturday. We had one final chance on Sunday. We went and saw it, and I was so glad that I did. Great perspective of the art market.
Thank you for doing what you do. It's sad that films like this, and it only brought in the painting brought in $450 million, right? 50 million buyers. Hey, we need the buyers.
Auction House only made $50
music
million.
to my ears. I love it.
Right.
But the movie's done $300,000. That to me is a sin.
That's unfortunate.
Really?
That's a sin.
That's a fact?
Yeah, just recent
unbelievable. Wow.
box office. This is a great film, guys. The marketing, the Christie's marketing campaign that they did,
incredible.
I was out of breath
It was incredible.
watching it.
Yeah.
So let's turn to, we have wonderful Mia who's doing floor directing and also producing the show. Mia works at the gallery with her husband Jay, and they're fabulous. And she came up with this. They came up with this together. I'm going to not get any arguments here. They came up with staff picks, much like the video picks at the movie stores in the old days.
It's so much fun.
And I think these are absolutely wonderful, Mia. I think we're ready for this.
I love it because I've never seen any of these, so these are always fresh to me too, which is great.
Yeah, she does them, and then we get to see them at the shows, which is great.
So we're going to go to staff picks now from Sarasota Trading Company, Sarasota State Auction.
Hello again, and welcome to Sarasota Estate Auction. For every auction, you are getting highlights of art and antiques that are high in value or are going to do well in our auction. Today, you will be getting our staff favorites. They may not be the rarest or the most expensive, but a connection to a piece or something that caught our eye. Regardless, we all have our favorites. Let's take a look at what our staff favorites are for this auction.
This is one of my favorite items in the auction. It speaks to the international scope of all the wonderful things that we sell here. This is an African beaded Yoruba ceremonial crown. And I like to just imagine all the beautiful handmade gowns that that person would have worn with that to complement the beautiful beaded lizards and birds that cover this.
My staff pick is lot 544, this wonderful ladder from potentially the RMS Queen Elizabeth. If it is real, what would make it really cool is that this ladder would have been on the same ship that transported over 750,000 troops from the Atlantic. I think that's really awesome. It came out in 1940. For 56 years, it was the #1 passenger ship in the world, and it went fast enough that U-boats couldn't hit it. So 6 days back and forth, the troops could go back and get there safely. It didn't even need a full caravan of destroyers or a Navy fleet to save it.
My favorite piece in our upcoming auction is this metal industrial alien sculpture. It reminds me of the Alien vs. Predator movies, which I enjoy watching. And the other thing I like about it is I enjoy interactive pieces. Artwork is great, but when you have a piece that can actually move from left to right, it's interactive and it gives it more life. It's a really awesome piece. Come on down and we'll see you Saturday and Sunday.
I absolutely love that feature. I love it's such a winner. It's such a winner. Great job.
Great job,
Jay
you guys.
and the staff. And
So
I even like
fun.
James's pick.
James's pick is the best.
He gives you some funky picks. It's cool.
He-
Now,
that's
no
who
one
he
asked me
is,
about
though.
my pick. I feel like Jack Benny. Remember Jack Benny? Jack Benny? Rochester. No one asked me about my pick.
Well, what was your pick?
My pick is sitting right behind you.
Oh,
gorgeous.
the movie poster.
I'm a movie poster guy.
Look how
and
beautiful she is.
I heard Andrew articulate about posters the other day. Someone brought in, I think it was a French poster. It was
Sure. Yep.
We were talking to one of our clients, and I know this is a real deal here. I do a little because I have a lot of these.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not only having the poster; it's having the poster with the film associated with it. And this is one of the great directors of all time. It's of course Dr. Zhivago, David Lean's classic with Rod Steiger, Julie Christie, Omar Sharif, and Geraldine Chaplin. It's just see it on a big screen. I think we have a real short clip of this, and then I'm going to come back and talk to these nice folks about a couple of pieces in the piece. This is, but see.
Comrade Doctor, I need a medical officer.
Are you a nurse?
Yes.
Then help me.
You know, you often look at me as though you knew me.
I have seen you.
Yuri is an extraordinary girl.
I know, I'm dancing with her. What happens to a girl like that when a man like you has finished with her?
I give it to you.
If only there was someone to look after you. Of course, if there were, I'd be destroyed by jealousy.
Don't. We've not done anything you'll have to lie about. Goodbye, Zhivago. This is an awful time to be alive.
No.
What are we going to do?
I don't know.
Wouldn't it have been lovely if we'd met before?
I think we may go mad if we think about all that.
I shall always think about it.
So guys, what my dream run a David Lean Film Festival, do Great Expectations from 46, play this, Bridge on the River Kwai, play of course Lawrence of Arabia. These are all big screen, don't watch it on a phone. That poster's so cool. It's it's reasonably priced. We're gonna see what eyeballs are on it. That's my pick right now. I mean, I love it because
it's a good pick.
It's a beautiful pick. We're gonna thank our sponsors, Sarasota State Auction and Trading Company, our friends down at Eric, who fixed your car. Still running? Yeah. Good. Eric's a good boy. He's over there near Livingston's, near our friend Larry's place over there. Jeez, that's a business. That's a good business.
We're there a ton.
I like to go play some skee ball.
It's
with more cowbell.
I don't think they have skee
Who
ball
else
there.
is a sponsor here?
They do skee ball. I haven't seen it.
Bookstore One, thank you. And you can read about Dr. Zhivago. You read about the art of collecting wisely in a few months.
It's coming.
That's your book.
It's coming. Yes.
And we're working on it. We're going to start working on it heavy. This has been we got to just put the time. I'm looking forward to your book because it's from vignettes of real life. You teach all the time, Andrew. I see you on the floor. So good with people.
He is.
I mean, and
He
not
has
just
the gift.
not just on the consignment front when he goes to get a collection, but people come in to the store. It's nice to see it. You're a mensch about it,
Very kind.
and the book is going to be great because it's from real life. Wins and losses.
Yeah.
What's one of your favorite things you like to say? Don't hold out for.
Holding out for less money.
Oh yeah. That's
so
a, that's
true.
a
We've
classic.
all done it.
God. The first offer on a house is usually the best. The
That's
first
it.
offer on a piece is usually the best.
I was dealing with someone today. In fact, why I got a house call today with a gentleman who's had his house on the market for the third year now.
Right.
Oh.
Okay, so by the time he was finished telling me I'm paying my association dues, he pays the gentleman to mow the lawn and all the things, which you have to upkeep the home. But he said this is in November, his third ad valorem property tax is coming up.
Yeah.
And the difference of what he's paid for all that since.
That's good.
He could have just
broke it down.
He could have sold it and been behind him. At any rate, he invited us over because he thinks he's now brought the price down $70,000.
But that's one of your things too, is moving on. You collect. You both collect. You love things. You love jewelry. Your fashion, paintings. You're eclectic.
Porcelain.
But sometimes you let things go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
have to.
Where you-
Somebody told me a long time ago that an aggressive buying plan requires an aggressive selling plan.
Oh, that's good. Ooh,
You know,
use that Saturday and Sunday.
That's exactly it. So
But we have to provide a service, Gus. We can't just say, okay, we're going to take your item in and hold on to it forever. No. We want it to go to a good home. We want it to
that's the other
carry
thing.
on.
You take time to say, often people have lost someone, they don't know. You talk about the brown furniture, which you've taught me. Tastes, trends change.
Always.
This is kind of a hidden jewel here. This painting we're looking at.
absolutely.
I don't know.
We talked earlier about a sleeper.
Yeah, is this the sleeper possibly?
This could be the sleeper of the sale. So our good friends, John and Vicky in California, who've been giving me things for, essentially either selling me things or working with me over the past over 20 years.
That's
now.
a relationship.
It's a true relationship.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's not.
They're out
and
hunting.
that's what they do.
They
they go
happen by
anywhere.
accident.
If it's a $25 on Craigslist, they'll chase it. They're great.
They're out hunting at all times, and this was one that came from a Sausalito or San Francisco collection, big mansion up on the hill, and this is kind of a rare subject. So to look at the painting, it doesn't look like much. Looks like a slightly naively painted landscape of Bali. The gentleman that painted this, he was Dutch, and of course, if you know a little of the history of Indonesia, that was a Dutch colony, owned by the Dutch until, I believe, 1949, when Indonesia gained their independence. And at that point, if you were of Dutch national, you had to make a decision. Am I going to become an Indonesian citizen, or am I going to keep my Dutch citizenship? And many of the Dutch that were living in Indonesia at the time went back to the Netherlands. Many stayed. This was a gentleman who stayed, worked there. He was a draftsman for a surveying company. And so this was painted as late as the 1970s. Ari Smit, kind of a self-taught artist to some degree. He was, he'd been exhibiting in and around Jakarta. And you think of Java, Jakarta. They had exhibitions, salons even there for expatriates that end up living there, and there's such a close relationship between the Dutch and the Indonesians. So this is a Dutch national painting in Indonesia. His paintings today, just to give you an idea, a similar painting sold recently for $40,000 in the very same size.
Wow.
He has paintings that have sold as much as $80,000.
And they're bidding on this right now as we speak.
Bidding was, starting pretty slow. Sometimes you wonder about a painting. So he's very well known. We put him on our carousel on the front page, and the minute we put him on the carousel, the painting went from $300 to $850.
Wow.
We now have multiple bidders bidding on it, and I'm going to be deeply surprised if it doesn't bring north of 5,000, 10,000. It could bring 15,000 if a few of the major collectors catch wind of it. It could run.
That's I got excited just when you're like listening to you talk about the history.
What day is it on? First day, second day?
I believe this is a Sunday sale, right around an hour on Sunday. It's $9.65, so it'll happen about an hour and a half into the sale.
Okay.
But this has legs. You hear about paintings that have legs, that have a real upside. This is a painting with tremendous upside. There's no telling where it ends up. It's logistically shippable. Jay, you know all about this. This is an easy ship.
Jay.
Yeah, easy ship.
Okay,
Yeah,
if it fits, it
easy
ships
ship.
in a box.
In a box. You could carry this on the plane with you.
You could carry it on the plane, but it's the kind of picture that many museums are collecting this kind of work. The Indonesian museums, because tourism is so important, especially after the tsunami that happened in Indonesia. The tourism is major, and the major museums that are acquiring these things are looking for tourists to come in and add a little,
Andrew, look at the folks out there and tell them what they should, how to get ready for the auction. Just kind of, we're going to wrap up here, but just tell them what they should, because people ask me in the shop, like, what's an auction like? What do they should do to get ready?
Well, we always talk about doing your homework in advance, coming out to I love coming to the auction, getting a hold of a catalog, taking a pencil or a pen, and just highlighting a couple of objects that speak to you. Not looking at the prices, not even getting involved in that, but just, do I like the painting? Can I live with this painting?
What speaks to you?
Yeah, what you love.
Everything speaks differently
to
everyone. That's why art's so amazing.
And the motivations for why people collect are all over the board.
Yeah.
Does it match something in your home? Some people, it's just as simple as that. And I have a little violet in my sofa, and I'd like a little painting to go. So there's wild reasons. But if you like to buy things that have a real investment value, and that's a scary word because many art galleries over the years have to be cautious of calling these good investments.
Right.
In this case, this is a good investment. Look in my eyes here. This is the one.
I believe I would. That's your catchphrase.
This is it.
Andrew, thank you for being here. Lathrop, always
Thank
a
you.
pleasure. Thank you.
Always.
I look forward to the auction this Saturday and Sunday, 11 to about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
11 to
We're
6,
gonna
might
be
be 11
there.
to 7. It's going to be, of course, lunch is hosted by Tsunami Sushi. We've got great fine wines. It's a lot of fun. I do my best to educate the crowd, but we try to move it quickly. It's
You might
very
buy
exciting.
something you never thought you were going to buy before.
I
Because,
love
I mean,
it.
he sells it so great up there. I mean, you fall in love with everything.
It's a lot of fun. And it's
It is.
theater. I always
It
thought it's
is.
great theater, and
It
you
is.
can win something because that's the term.
Over 1,500 estate fresh objects. That's the beauty. Estate fresh. These have not been offered before. These are a couple generations old. We've got them in our hands for the first time. We're really excited. Saturday and Sunday, 522 South Pineapple Avenue. It's the Sarasota Trading Building in downtown, historic downtown, and we're looking forward to an incredible auction.
Look forward to
Like
seeing you
and
guys.
share, like and
Thank
share.
you. And
Thank
we're
you,
going to go
guys.
out with the wonderful, thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Lathrop. I just learned so much. I enjoy art now, almost as much as I enjoy film, and it's connected. They're connected. But
They are.
let's go to the closing. We're gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna go to the Andy Warhol. I'm just mesmerized by this guy, and I can't wait to see what this goes for.
Absolutely.
We'll see you guys at the movies.
Andy, do you feel that the public has insulted your art?
No.
Why not?
Well, I hadn't thought about it.
It doesn't bother you at all then?
No.
Well, do you think that they've shown a lack of appreciation for what pop art means?
No.
Andy, do you think that pop art has sort of reached the point where it's becoming repetitious now?
Yes.
Do you think it should break away from being pop art?
No.
Are you just going to carry on?
Yes.
This is Andy Warhol, and it's take one. No, take one. What did I say? It's home.
a cement fix, biggest standing cinema. Dress my friends up just for show, see them as they really are. But the people in my brain, 2 new pens to have a go. I'd like to be a gallery, put you all inside mine.